Welcome to the Juggling Mind and Money podcast with Steve Rowe and Jessica Schlup Taylor. Steve Rowe is the founder of Lucent Financial Planning and an award-winning independent financial planner. He helps you to use your money and have a great life. Jess Schlup Taylor is a psychologist supporting people through change, challenges, and forks in the road of life. Together, they will help unblock the sludge in your mind, stopping you from achieving financial and psychological happiness.
Welcome back to
Ep.3
of Juggling Mind and Money. In our podcast, we talk about how your mental health could affect your finance and
how your finance can affect your mental health.
Oh, that was so good.
We're getting better.
That is the best we've done.
Wait
ever.
until episode 10. We'll be ninjas.
We'll be bored by then, though.
Yeah, probably.
No, we won't.
You won't be bored, though, because we are quite entertaining in our own little weird, quirky way.
Absolutely. So in our podcast, we're trying to look, aren't we, at how our money affects our mental happiness and also how our mental happiness can affect
We've
our
already just said that.
financial planning, have we?
Well, it's okay. Repetition's good.
So we're trying to keep this light-hearted, but we are going to look at some pretty serious subjects and delve into them. And, they're heavy. Life's hard sometimes, isn't it?
Life is hard. Lots of obstacles, lots of challenges.
Let's say sometimes.
Sometimes.
Not all the time.
No, there are lots and lots of happy moments or good moments. Happiness, I think, it's a bit much for us to ask for happiness all the time. Let's not be greedy. I think content is a lovely
say
word.
That.
Were you?
Yeah.
I think contentedness is highly underrated.
He's just being at peace.
I think people would be a lot happier if they learned to be content. That's not to say that you can't drive for more or be ambitious, but you can still enjoy where you're at.
Yeah, like it's pretty good.
Yeah,
Life's
appreciate what
also
you've got.
brilliant, isn't it?
Life has got a lot of brilliant stuff in.
Really good. But we are going to face some downers sometimes.
Challenges.
Yeah, challenges. That's a better word. It's like you use it a
Turn
lot.
them into opportunities. That's sort of what this podcast does. Looking at sort of challenges and how we can turn them into opportunities.
That's it.
Keep hold of the good stuff so that we get the best out of life.
To have a great time.
Great time.
So Jess is, of course, a psychologist.
And Steve's an epic financial planner.
Yeah, and you help people get healthy heads.
Yeah, just get their heads in the right place for them to get the most out of life.
I love that saying, Jess, healthy heads.
Healthy heads.
Makes me feel warm inside.
Healthy
about
heads
you.
and happy hearts.
Yeah, you've also got some other good sayings that were said before this recording started that we won't dwell on.
Sometimes I say things that come out of my mouth and really shouldn't, but luckily that was before we pressed play.
Right, so what we're going to tackle today, we need to do Diagnose Steve.
Diagnose Steve today.
Ugh.
Diagnose Steve. There's obviously something wrong with him. Jess delves into what it could be.
Not so easy, this one,
No.
because this is a really wide spectrum.
But you don't know yet, because I haven't told you my symptoms.
Okay, go on then.
Right,
Traits.
we've got to keep this act.
Right, let's keep going with
Traits,
this then.
that is a better word.
Talk to me about your traits.
I find it difficult to communicate how I feel and with social interaction. I tend to do the same thing over and over because it makes me feel comfortable. I've got routines. There's not a lot I like, but what I like I really like.
Oh, okay.
I have difficulty, I fear change.
In
any kind of change. Sometimes I get really overwhelmed.
What about your pants? What about changing your pants? Do you mind changing those every day?
Every other day because I wear them inside out.
Oh, lovely.
That's not true.
No, because we know that you do have some of the best pants.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them from personal experience.
No.
Not like your feet.
I did buy you some pants for your birthday, didn't I?
You did.
But which sounds really wrong.
But
actually, they're walking pants.
To be fair, once I've got them, I will bring them on and show you my new pants. Yeah.
Your knee-length pants. So I have difficulty understanding and expressing emotions. I find it hard following social conventions and rules. Don't like it. Don't know what they are.
Well, yeah.
Time.
They're not on your radar.
Never noticed.
Okay.
So those are the things I'm experiencing.
So it sounds like you have some autistic traits there.
Okay, so you're saying I'm like Rain Man?
No. Rain Man's quite an extreme version.
I think he was a savant as well, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, and I think there's a theory he was more Asperger's.
Oh, really?
But also, there's a lot... Autism's a really difficult area because it's so vast. And again, when we spoke last episode about ADHD traits, we all have some of those things within us. It's about how much it affects your life. But autism is, you're right, it's difficulty in social situations. And again, with autism, when we talk about a spectrum, if you imagine, like a colour wheel, but where it's not just 8 different colours going around in, like chunks of a wheel, it's a proper colour wheel where there's sort of 400,000 different colours going from light to dark or dark to light and going through all the different colour spectrums. And different autistic people will have different autistic traits on the spectrum.
Okay.
So, one might look like a star, another one might look like a square. There's lots and lots of different ones. And the saying is, and it's absolutely true, if you've met one autistic person, you have met one autistic person. It's not just a case of, oh, yes, my brother's autistic, so therefore I understand all autistic people. It's not the case at all.
So this is such a hard thing. I think I've had experience with it. Someone told me last year, I think I was the first person they told that they just had a diagnosis.
As an adult?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's becoming more. I think it's received a lot more press and a lot more media coverage. Social media has really helped. People that have just watched a few things and gone, oh, actually, there's a few traits that I'm struggling with. I'd quite like to get some help or support with that. And then they go off and, they get a diagnosis.
So I think I was the first person they told outside their family. And what they were saying about the situations, and I was thinking back, because I've known them for a while, of situations where I was like, yeah, I saw that. I was like, with overwhelm.
Yes, yeah.
And I noticed that at the time, but didn't think anything of it because I was in a rush.
But also, it's a jigsaw puzzle. It's not just, everybody might have an emotional overwhelm at one point or another. It's when that happens on a regular occasion or there's a pattern to it. Yeah.
And I think in their case, it was like a relief, and they'd gone back through their life.
Yeah.
And
made a bit more sense of it.
Yeah, and how interactions with people, whether it's from school or throughout their professional life as well. Yeah. And it was quite emotional actually when they were telling me, and I was like, flip, you've had a tough time. Must be a good thing to know this.
Yeah. And the problem is that probably when we were children, we did think that autism was Rain Man. That was what autistic people are like. And yet it's so varied that so many people fell through the cracks before. And yet it poses a lot of challenges for the people because the world isn't set up for neuroatypical. The world is set up for neurotypical people in general. And neurotypical people can have neuroatypical traits. But most of the time we can fit those within life. Whereas neuroatypical, they have to adjust their mind, their behaviour, all the time to be able to make it work within a typical world.
Jess, all of your knowledge, and as well as your ability to say atypical and typical in the same sentence without ever mixing it up. That was really good.
I did my mouth tongue twisters before we started. Black background, blue background, black background, blue background. You've got to do that so you can pronounce your words, apparently.
That was really good. I'm not good at that.
I did have to concentrate to do it, though.
Talking. So what could affect someone with autism? How would these traits perhaps affect their finances, their money?
Again, it's going to be different for every autistic person, and I think one of the key things for people, and especially autistic people, is understanding themselves and understanding how it can influence or what their patterns are, or having some form of support to make them look out for issues. It might be that they are incredibly obsessed, and they might make some of the best investors and some of the best financial planners in terms of, because they could be really, really good at doing the research and having a great understanding and depth of knowledge around that area. But on the alternative side, it might be that it's not something that's relative, that's relevant, that they're interested in, and it won't even come across as something that they need to look after. Often they can be really quite poor with money.
Could they be highly rational?
Highly logical, quite often highly logical, often quite highly practical. But almost that can get you, because with finance, as you know, there's no right or wrong. There are things that could be better suited, and each situation has to be suited to the individual. And so somebody that's looking for logic and black and white answers could get really stuck searching for the right answer and the right decision and the one that feels comfortable. And obviously change isn't particularly comfortable for people with autism. And so that watching the markets or things like that could be really quite upsetting or distressing for them.
And would they seek certainty? Is that something important?
They would more likely want to have guaranteed results or fixed responses rather than have the unknown.
So that
generally,
is
again, there are
difficult.
people that are different, and autism is different in everybody. But generally, you would find that autistic people would feel more comfortable if there was a guaranteed way and there was less change in their finances.
So that's immensely difficult in finance, because obviously it's the future, and the future is uncertain.
Yeah, but yet you might find that some autistic people, they're quite rigid in their spending patterns. They're quite rigid in their routine. So it's more like there's things like cash flow forecasting for the future.
Yeah.
They might actually revel in that. You give them a plan and something to go with, and they will stick to that, rather than somebody that you give a plan to and then they call you up and they go, you know that I had X amount to spend this year. Well, I've just booked that holiday to Jamaica instead, and now you need to change my investment portfolio to fix that.
Well, what you would call neurotypical, I think that is that overspending, not being able to, because that is the big issue for us, Pete, because we can control a lot of things.
So generally autistic do tend to be more in control. They like to be in control of things.
We can control a lot of things, but we can't be on someone's shoulder and what they're spending and go, don't spend that.
Yeah, but again, some other autistic people might actually have no concept of spending, and they might end up in huge amounts of debt. So it very much comes down to the individual. And when we're talking about looking after finances with somebody that's got autism, it is about understanding that individual, how their brain works. But even down to things like, as a financial planner, you should consider things like the lighting in your meeting rooms, how closely you sit to somebody in your meeting rooms. You should consider whether you've got music or whether there's background noise. Even things like being able to inform people of exactly where the car park is, how you get from the car park to the front door, because some people with lots of different mental health things, but autistic in generally, might want really specific instructions that takes away a lot of their mental load and their concerns. So they might have a lot of questions that, well, if I park there, then how do I get there? And do I have to come around the front, or do I have to go around the back? And if I open that door, do I have to press a buzzer to get in? And what happens if I don't? Is it just a buzzer? Or is it, are there lots of companies on there that I need to press the right button to? All these different thoughts.
That stressed me out then, Jess.
Well, imagine having that 200 times constantly, because that can happen with people with ADHD, and it can also happen with people with autism, and also high anxiety, where their brain is... And so if, as a person that provides services to neurotypical and neuroatypical, we want to be inclusive, there's no harm in giving neurotypical far too much information than they might need. They might look at it and go, I just need to park in the car park and walk around. Yeah, you might need to do that, but other people need to know this is the car park space. There is mobile phone parking, but it also takes cash. this is the route, and you can send them, the little line that comes in, you press the bell button on the thing, you come in. Because otherwise there's so many questions in their head they have to overcome.
Is that the case though? So with a neurotypical person, if we give them too much information and they don't look at anything?
Yeah, but they can choose. You can put detailed instructions. If you prefer detail, here's the detailed instructions. If not, here's the basic instructions.
And then you're away.
But I think, finding, even when you sit down and talk to somebody, some autistic people, they will only go to certain restaurants because of the lighting or the sound and things like that, because it's not just a case of being fussy. And I think a lot of people think that autistic people are fussy, and that's truly not the case. It hurts. It can be physically repellent to be sat somewhere. Often they might have sensory issues, or people might go, oh, they're such a fussy eater. They're not fussy. It truly is repellent to have, perhaps they like lasagna, but somebody puts mushrooms in it. They see a mushroom, they cannot eat the rest of the lasagna. They can't do that. That's not on their radar. They've shut down. That's not happening.
Okay. So I think in summary of what you said there is so important, isn't it, for everyone?
Yeah.
Just to truly, so in what we do, just to ask these questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you like. How do you understand things?
Would you prefer the big light on, or would you prefer some dimmer lamps? What would feel better for you?
You asking me for now?
No, because we've got a whole setup here that's really posh. So would you just have to put up and shut up, Steve?
It's giving me a headache. So how we would work is we'd be trying to find this stuff out, and it is incredibly hard.
Yeah, so you don't have to ask somebody if they're autistic. I think often...
Oh, no.
We're not going to be doing that, finding out.
What people like and how they like to understand things. So some people understand things better by being told, or I'm better at reading stuff, understand it more quickly that way.
Yeah. And it's things like if you've got processes in for your customers, and perhaps when they become a new customer, they need to provide you with X, Y, Z, you might have a piece of paper or a checklist or an email that goes out to them, and it's a whole bunch of writing. But you might want to also consider doing a video so that they can sit there and watch the video and what these things look like or what this might be, so that then you can suit everybody rather than... And it's just having... I think the key is having choices.
Yeah.
Having options, having different lighting, having different sounds.
Horses for courses, Jess.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks.
I love that. The world doesn't move to the beat of just one drum.
Yay!
Are we going to sing it?
I don't know the song.
I'll sing it. Now the world don't move to the beat of just one drum.
That's not
what
bad.
might be right for you might not be right for
some. I do
it
know
takes different strokes. Brilliant.
Is that from the TV programme?
Yeah.
Your singing voice was loads better than I thought it was going to be.
I am a bad singer.
No, because you've a speaking voice, without being rude, is a bit different. But your singing voice...
I have a dreadful voice. I'm sorry for afflicting this on everybody.
No, you don't have a dreadful voice. You just... It's quite an individual voice.
Yeah, and it doesn't...
And we haven't even broached the subject yet, that you are like a very tall Alan Carr.
It's incongruent with my...
Your singing voice also...
My physicality.
Yeah, I would quite happily go to karaoke with you.
We did karaoke at Christmas. It was dreadful.
Oh, you did? Did I get an invite? No, I didn't get an invite. Honestly.
Sorry, Jess. Because we have heard you sing. Okay. So overwhelm.
Decision making. Not good on autistic people generally.
Yeah.
Decision making, especially with important decisions, could be really, really difficult. Or even with insignificant decisions. They can get stuck on, what socks do I wear? Which is why it's better to have 20 pairs of exactly the same. Find a pair of socks that you like, 20 pairs of the same socks.
We need to discuss that in psychology one day, don't we?
Yeah. Let's park that for another day, because that's a good topic.
So, decision making, how does that affect them then? Is it just the inability to see after the event, or is it concern they'd be making the wrong decision? What?
Again, different people, different needs. You might find that autistic people would want a lot more data a lot more information. So somebody neurotypical might go, Steve, you're a financial planner. You've been recommended by 20 other people and 20 of my mates. You've done really well for them. Suits me. All this stuff that you're saying and all these drafts that you're showing me, whatever. Yeah, sign me up. Whereas an autistic person might say, you've been recommended by 20 people. Appreciate all that. That's great. Now I need to know more. Give me the data. What's going to happen? What does it look like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? What if this happened? What does it look like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? What if this happened? What does it look like in 5, 10 years? And so on. I
love that though, because I've got all that information.
Yeah.
And it's nice to show it to someone for sometimes.
Well, that's exactly it. Yeah. So it's, again, having options for people and knowing your people. And me personally, if you came at me with all that information, I'd just be like, oh, Steve, hurt my head, I trust you, just whatever, where do I sign? Too much for me. But for somebody else, they really want all that. So to have, again, different financial planners with different personalities, some people will really suit the fly by the seat of their pants people, but other people would really suit data-minded people that want the black and white figures and the data behind that.
So some of our clients have been to you about, in particular, decision points.
Yes.
Quite often.
Forks in the road of life or...
retirement, divorce.
Yeah. Retirement, divorce. Parents in care or not in care, that is the question.
So how would you help them through that? Or gain clarity, I suppose.
Are we still on autism or have we changed? Oh, on autism.
I think autism and neurotypical.
With everybody, it's getting them to look at it from different perspectives. So giving them an opportunity to talk things through. Often it's in anything, when we are living it, it's really difficult to see the problem because it's all encompassing. So giving them the opportunity to take a step away in different directions and be able to see the possibility and the outcomes from it. With autistic people, there is no one way that I would treat or discuss things with them because it would very much depend on the person. Some people might want to go away and have a think about it and write it up. Some people might want for you to tell them the different possibilities. But everyone's different. Generally, you can do things like timelines. If we chose this path, what would that look like? If we chose this path, what would it look like? What does this, who does it impact? Why does it impact? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of coaching work that goes on when it comes to decision making. So I suppose rather than therapy, what we do is we do more coaching, asking questions for them to be able to understand what the decision is. And sometimes done is better than not done. Procrastination is the worst thing you can do is stand still.
Yeah.
But being able to get people to see things like that, being able to get them to understand exactly what the problem is, because sometimes we have an issue, and this can happen with autistic people, is the issue is nowhere as big as they thought.
Yeah.
But they can spend a lot and focus a lot on it, and it expands it. So being able to then bring it back down to reality, sometimes that can be as simple as writing it down. Our brains are amazing things, but they also cause huge amounts of problems. And a thought that's in our brain might seem insurmountable. Yeah. And when it goes round, it picks up loads of stuff with it. Like, I don't know, somebody said that my son wasn't good at football. And that turns into, my son's never going to be able to get on a team. He's, everyone thinks he's awful at football. Oh my goodness, we're so bad at sports. I failed as a parent. And we've gone from some Joe blogs off the street saying your son's bad at football that truly doesn't matter to me thinking that I'm an awful parent because it stayed in my head. But if I write it down and I put Joe blogs off the street said my son's bad at football, I think my response would be, so what?
That is a thing, isn't it? It is like taking it out of your mind.
Take it out of your head, put it on paper. It is one of the most magical things that you can do. And then you look at it and you go, oh, yeah, that's not such a big thing. I can cope with that one.
So sometimes the best thing you can do is give someone a writing set, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah.
Do that. Have a go. With a pen.
Write it down. Oh, some people are better at drawing.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm more stick man level. I don't think I ever progressed from the age of 5 in terms of my art ability. But, you know, some people are really good.
I'm like Manet.
No.
I can't draw.
Getting them to, or sometimes if they talk through the problem, so some people might be better, they might not like writing, so then they can verbalise the issue and what's going on in their head, and then they can play it back to themselves.
Like if they recorded it on the phone or something. Oh, you've been attacked.
I've got a little fly that's buzzing.
Probably from
the answer to everything, slap yourself in the face. So if there's lots of people that aren't particularly great at writing things down and they almost have an aversion to writing, so instead do a voice note explaining what's going on in your head, what the problem is, why you think it's a big deal, and then you listen to it, because then when you listen to it, you're listening to it as a third party.
Would you listen to that straight away, or like an hour later, or the next day?
You know what? Again, it depends what sort of mood you're in. If you are in heightened
because you know you've just done it, don't you?
Yeah, if you're in a heightened emotional deregulation state, feeling overwhelmed, panicked, everything else, then possibly don't. Although it could help. There's no harm in trying it. Try it, and then if not, listen to it half an hour later after you've gone for a bit of a walk or a sprint up the hill or just extricated.
These are things you could have your own voice. I would choose someone else, it's not mine. But you could have your own voice just telling you, calm down, this has happened before.
No, we don't want to say calm down to ourselves.
Well, whatever.
That's one of the phrases that makes people explode. My son says it to people to get a reaction. Calm down. Ah! But yeah, it's going to be okay.
But if it's kind of like your own lifeboat thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be okay. It feels big at the moment, but perhaps in a couple of days' time, or once you've got your head round it, you can cope with this. It will pass. That's another one of my favourite sayings.
This too shall pass.
This too shall pass. My other one, favourite one, ships are safe in the harbour, but that's not what ships are for. So don't be boring and stay in your harbour. Go and party on the seas. Face the storms. I've listened to Treasure Island recently, so I'm all for ships. Aye, aye, Captain.
Shiver me timbers. Now, psychology.
And now for Sockology, where Jess and Steve review types of sock and how your socks affect your mood.
Are we back on psychology?
Yeah.
What socks are you wearing today?
Well, I just want to pretend I've got pirate socks on.
Really? I'm trying to think if you could even get pirate socks on.
I haven't got pirate socks.
No. I think in future episodes, if we're going to do psychology, we probably need to show people our socks.
Yeah. Were they hoops? Remember Sockology, the part of the show where we're hoping to get sent socks or sent pictures of people's socks to show us.
Yeah, cool socks. Not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday socks, because that says a lot about you anyway.
And what mood they were in when they put them on.
One of my favourite pairs of socks is Captain America socks, but one sock is different to the others. So although I don't like odd socks, it's a pair, but they look odd, but they're together. And I quite like wearing them.
So what constitutes a pair just because you bought them together?
So they came together. Match? They do match, but not like identically.
In theme?
Yes.
Okay.
Like twins, but not identical twins.
Kinda.
But they're cool. Yeah. So my Captain America socks, they make me smile. And I wear them when I go to the gym, pulled over my leggings, so I look a bit weird. But I don't care, because it makes me smile.
Good. That's all that matters.
Exactly. And if people stare at my socks, they probably will also smile. And then I've brought a bit of light to someone's life in the gym.
I'm sure you certainly would, Jess.
I prefer them to look at my socks, to be fair.
Absolutely.
Distract them from anything else.
So in summary,
we
need to, as we do, any financial planning company, find out about that person, but really delve into how they prefer to be communicated with.
Yeah.
What kind of triggers that they may have that might induce feelings of...
I think you can just ask for their preferences.
Or what their preferences are.
Yeah, give them some options. We have options about communications. We have options about the room that we use. We have options about location, online, or different rooms that are available. What would be your preference? Because, we can have background noise, we can have quiet. What would you prefer?
Yeah.
Rather than. What are your triggers? Subtle as ever, Steve. Subtle as ever. But, I think it's paying attention, because you might not have done anything. You're sitting in a meeting and you just see somebody that's slightly uncomfortable. And you just say, I can see that you're slightly uncomfortable. Would it help if I change the lighting? Or, what do you need to be able to be made more comfortable? That's all right. You think about the amount of kids. My daughter wears headphones in the noisy lessons because she can't cope with the noise. It really overwhelms her.
Yeah.
So, perhaps they don't want to come to your awesome conference with Frank Bruno or whatever it is that you're doing, or the mad summer party. Oh, they might be all right, the summer party. But, it's just finding out what's comfortable and what's not.
Yeah.
Adjustments. Options.
Personalisation.
And it's definitely not being fussy. It's just having a variety of needs.
Yeah, just what you like, so you're more comfortable.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
all right for everybody, isn't it?
And being able to provide them with the information they need to be able to make the decisions. But also build a relationship in the way that they need, so that they can trust you to make the decisions. And once they can, you reduce their mental load. Something less to carry around with them. Handed it off to Steve and his guys. Brilliant.
And then
or girls. When I use guys, it's
unisex.
Yeah. Well, it is in my world, but
it's not cool though.
No, it's not cool.
Peeps.
Steve and his peeps. I don't know whether they'll appreciate that.
Not being a peep. Maybe not. So that's it for this podcast.
That's it.
We'll be coming back soon with another one in another 2 weeks. We'll be talking about mind and money. Juggling it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to see you, Jess. Take care.
And you. Bye.